The day had started like any other. The sun was shining through the glass windows of the high-end clothing store, reflecting off the polished floors and shiny displays. People walked around, picking out clothes, trying on shoes, and enjoying the calm of a regular shopping day. Among them was a young black girl, excited and full of energy. She had been looking forward to this moment for weeks. She was going to pick out a special dress for an upcoming event, something she had dreamed about wearing. Her friends were with her, laughing and pointing out outfits, enjoying the afternoon as much as she was. She wandered down one aisle, carefully scanning the racks of dresses. She ran her fingers along the fabric, imagining how each dress would look on her. She found a few she liked and held them up, debating silently in her mind which one would be perfect. As she did, she felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned around and saw a woman standing there, her expression sharp and unwelcoming. The woman's eyes were cold, and she looked down her nose at the girl as if she did not belong in the store. Before the girl could say anything, the woman spoke. Her voice was sharp and commanding. "You need to leave this store." The words hit the girl like a sudden gust of wind, knocking her off balance. She froze, unsure if she had heard correctly. Did this woman just tell her to leave? For no reason? She looked around, hoping someone would step in, but the other shoppers seemed unsure what to do. Some avoided eye contact, while others whispered quietly to each other. The girl's friends moved closer, trying to offer support, but even they seemed shocked by the sudden confrontation. The girl tried to respond, but the words caught in her throat. Her mind was racing. Why was this happening? What had she done wrong? She had only come here to enjoy herself, to pick out a dress and spend time with her friends. She had never imagined anyone would treat her like this. The woman's stare felt heavy, as if it were trying to push her out of the store entirely. The girl's chest tightened and a lump formed in her throat. She wanted to cry but tried to hold back the tears, not wanting to show fear or weakness in front of the woman. Her friends, sensing her distress, put their arms around her shoulders. "It's okay, you don't have to listen to her," one of them whispered. They tried to guide her toward another aisle, away from the woman, but the girl couldn't move. She felt rooted to the spot, a mixture of anger and disbelief keeping her in place. She glanced at the store employees, hoping one of them would intervene, but they seemed frozen, unsure how to handle the situation. Their hesitation made her feel even more exposed and isolated. The woman continued to stare, her arms crossed, clearly enjoying the discomfort she had caused. She did not say anything else, but her presence was enough to make the girl feel unwelcome. Each second that passed felt like an eternity. The girl's mind kept replaying the incident over and over. She thought about her own worth, about how she had always been taught to treat others with kindness and respect, and yet here she was, being judged for something as simple as her presence. A few shoppers finally started to murmur among themselves, their voices quiet but curious. Some shook their heads in disapproval at the woman's behavior, while others whispered about what might happen next. The tension in the store grew, a heavy silence filling the spaces between the whispers. The girl's friends held her hands tightly, giving her a sense of support, but they knew that words alone could not fix what was happening. The girl finally took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. She reminded herself of the lessons her father had always taught her, to remain composed, to not let anger take control, and to handle difficult situations with dignity. She straightened her back, lifted her chin, and looked the woman directly in the eyes. There was a quiet strength in her gaze, even though her heart was pounding. She wanted the woman to know that she was not afraid, that she deserved to be there just as much as anyone else. The woman, however, seemed oblivious to the girl's inner strength. She continued to stare, her expression unchanging, as if waiting for the girl to give in. The girl's friends tried to speak up, to tell the woman that her behavior was wrong, but they were interrupted by the woman's sharp tone. "I said leave," she repeated, her words cutting through the air like a knife. The girl felt a surge of frustration, but she also knew that arguing here, in the middle of the store, would not solve anything. She could feel the weight of the stares from other shoppers and the uncertainty of the staff. Instead, she decided to take a step back, hoping to find a moment to think, to gather herself before deciding what to do next. She walked slowly toward the back of the store, her friends close behind, their presence a small comfort amid the tension. As she moved, she noticed the other shoppers watching her with mixed expressions. Some looked sympathetic, some indifferent, and some even judgmental. It was a confusing mix of emotions, and it made her feel even more vulnerable. She wondered why people were so quick to judge without knowing the whole story. She realized that this situation was not just about her being told to leave a store. It was about something deeper, something that she had encountered before in different forms but never so directly. Her mind raced with possibilities. Should she call her father? Would that make the situation worse? She remembered the times he had taught her to stand tall, to face challenges with courage, and to use her voice when necessary. She knew he would want her to handle this with dignity, but she also knew that his support would be invaluable if things escalated. She reached for her phone, her fingers trembling slightly, and hesitated for a moment, weighing her options. Meanwhile, the woman who had confronted her seemed to sense that the girl was not going to leave quietly. She shifted slightly, her eyes narrowing, but she did not speak. The tension between them was palpable, and the air felt thick with unspoken words. The girl's friends whispered words of encouragement, reminding her that she had the right to be there and that she was not alone. Their support was a small but powerful shield against the unfairness of the situation. The girl took another deep breath and tried to steady her thoughts. She reminded herself that this moment, as difficult as it was, did not define her. She had dreams, goals, and a life ahead of her that no one could take away. The woman's words, though hurtful, were just that, words. They did not reflect the girl's worth or her place in the world. With that in mind, she made a quiet decision to stay calm and collected, to not let anger or fear dictate her actions. She slowly walked to a corner of the store, away from the woman, and waited. Her friends stayed close, offering quiet reassurances. They knew that this was a moment that required patience and composure, and they were determined to support her through it. The girl's heart still pounded, but she felt a sense of control returning. She realized that she could choose how to respond, that she could rise above the negativity surrounding her. The store continued to hum with activity, though the atmosphere had changed. The confrontation had left an imprint on everyone present. Some shoppers continued to browse as if nothing had happened, while others watched with curiosity and concern. The staff members who had been unsure how to react now whispered among themselves, clearly realizing that they needed to address the situation. The girl remained in her corner, observing silently, her mind alert and focused. In that moment, she felt a mix of emotions: hurt, anger, confusion, and determination. She knew that she had been treated unfairly, but she also knew that she had the power to handle the situation with grace. She thought about her father, about the values he had instilled in her, and about the lessons she had learned about dignity, courage, and self-respect. Those lessons were her anchor in this storm, and she held on to them tightly. As the minutes passed, the girl's resolve strengthened. She would not let this incident define her day or her self-worth. She would remain composed, she would stay strong, and she would navigate this challenge with the same poise she had been taught to carry in all aspects of her life. The woman, still standing nearby, seemed unaware of the inner strength the girl was displaying. She continued to stare, but the girl no longer felt the same fear or vulnerability she had felt at the beginning. Instead, she felt a quiet confidence, a knowledge that she could handle whatever came next. The girl's friends whispered words of encouragement once more, and she smiled faintly, grateful for their support. She knew that together, they could face this moment with dignity, and in that small corner of the store, amidst the polished floors and shiny displays, the young girl found a quiet strength within herself, a strength that would guide her through the rest of the day and beyond. The incident had shaken her, but it had also reminded her of her resilience and her ability to remain composed in the face of unfairness. After the incident in the store, the young girl walked slowly toward a quiet corner, her friends close behind her. Their hands stayed linked, offering comfort, but the air still felt heavy with tension. The girl's mind was racing. She couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened. Her heart ached not just from the words spoken, but from the sense of injustice that had suddenly hit her. She felt small, like the world around her had suddenly turned on her. And even though she had done nothing wrong, every step she took felt like a struggle to keep her emotions in check. Her friends whispered softly, encouraging her to breathe and stay calm, reminding her that they were there. But the girl found herself retreating further into her own thoughts. She replayed the moment over and over, analyzing every detail. Why had the woman spoken to her like that? What had she done to deserve such treatment? She could find no reason. She had been polite, friendly, and respectful, yet she had been treated as if she did not belong. The unfairness of it all made her chest tighten. She leaned against a display shelf, trying to steady herself. Her hand shook slightly, and she took a deep breath. Her father's words echoed in her mind. He had always taught her to remain composed in difficult situations, to think before reacting, and to choose her response carefully. Sometimes, he had said, people act out of ignorance or fear. How they treat you is about them, not you. She clung to that thought, letting it sink in. Even as tears threatened to fall, her friends stayed near, trying to distract her with small jokes and comments about the clothes around them. But she could barely focus. She wanted to shop, to enjoy the day she had been looking forward to, but her mind kept returning to the confrontation. Every time she thought she was calming down, a wave of anger or hurt would hit her again. It was exhausting. She realized that being treated unfairly in such a public way left a mark, one that went beyond the words themselves. The girl began to understand something important about the world she was living in. She had always believed that people could be judged by their character, by their kindness and effort. But this moment reminded her that sometimes people see only the surface, the color of her skin, and make assumptions without even knowing her. That realization stung more than the woman's words ever could. It was a lesson she had faced before, but never so sharply, never so directly in a place where she had simply tried to enjoy herself. As she processed these thoughts, she felt a new emotion rising within her, determination. She realized that although she could not control the woman's actions, she could control her own response. She could choose to stay composed, to act with dignity, and to show strength in the face of unfairness. That realization gave her a sense of control she had not felt since the confrontation began. It was small, but it mattered. She could face this situation without letting it define her. Her friends noticed the shift and gave her encouraging smiles. One of them whispered, "You're handling this so well. Don't let her get to you." The girl nodded, appreciating the support. It reminded her that she was not alone. She had people who cared for her, who would stand by her and who would remind her of her worth when she felt uncertain. That support was a shield, and it strengthened her resolve. She decided to reach for her phone, her fingers trembling slightly as she typed a message. She wanted to tell her father what had happened, to seek his advice and guidance. She hesitated for a moment, thinking about how he might react. She knew he would be concerned, perhaps even angry, but she also knew he would want her to remain calm and dignified. She finally pressed send, and within moments her phone buzzed with a reply. Her father's words were gentle but firm, reminding her to stay composed and reassuring her that he was on his way. That message gave her a sense of relief, a comfort that helped steady her nerves. While she waited, the girl reflected on how quickly a situation could change. Just minutes ago, she had been excited and carefree, ready to enjoy the store and her time with friends. Now she had been confronted with prejudice and unfairness. Life had thrown her a challenge she had not anticipated, and she had been forced to navigate it with maturity beyond her years. She realized that experiences like this, while painful, were shaping her understanding of the world and her place in it. She thought about the woman again, who was still lingering nearby, perhaps realizing that the girl had not left as she had expected. The girl did not feel fear this time, only a quiet sense of resolve. She knew she had done nothing wrong, and that gave her strength. She focused on her breathing, feeling the tension slowly ease from her shoulders. She imagined herself standing tall, composed and confident, even if the world around her tried to bring her down. Her friends continued to offer quiet encouragement, talking about dresses and accessories in a gentle, distracting way. Their chatter was like a small lifeline, helping her keep her focus and reminding her of the simple joys she had come to the store to experience. The girl began to allow herself to enjoy small things again. The feel of the soft fabric in her hands, the sparkle of a sequined dress, the laughter of her friends. Even in the midst of a difficult moment, there were moments of light, and she chose to notice them. As time passed, she noticed the staff moving more actively now, perhaps realizing the seriousness of the situation. They approached cautiously, offering apologies for the inconvenience and making small gestures to show they were aware of the discomfort the girl had faced. These gestures, while small, were meaningful. They reminded the girl that not everyone was indifferent, that some people recognized fairness and respect and wanted to support it. That realization gave her hope, even in a place that had initially felt so hostile. The girl continued to wait quietly, her friends nearby, her father on his way. She felt a mix of emotions: hurt, relief, determination, and anticipation. She understood that she was about to face a turning point, one that could change the way she experienced the rest of the day. But she also knew that she was ready. She had thought through her response, found strength in her values, and gathered support from those who cared for her. She felt capable of handling whatever came next, knowing that her dignity and composure were in her hands. In that quiet corner, the girl reflected on the lessons of the day so far. She realized that life would not always be fair, that people might judge her unfairly, and that challenges would come when she least expected them. But she also realized that she had the power to face these challenges with courage and grace. She could choose her response, protect her self-respect, and maintain her composure no matter what others did. That realization was empowering, and it gave her a sense of calm she had not felt since the incident began. Her thoughts drifted to her father again, and she felt a sense of comfort knowing he was on his way. She knew that his presence would not only offer support, but also ensure that the situation was addressed appropriately. She imagined him walking through the store doors, calm but authoritative, ready to protect her while also upholding dignity and fairness. That image gave her confidence and allowed her to relax slightly, knowing that she would not face this challenge alone. As the minutes passed, the girl continued to breathe deeply, steadying herself. She allowed herself to notice the small things around her: the sparkle of the clothes, the quiet hum of the air conditioning, the soft footsteps of other shoppers moving past. These small details reminded her that the world was larger than this single moment, that life continued, and that she could move forward with strength and confidence. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, a quiet determination to rise above the hurt and unfairness. Her friends smiled at her, offering quiet words of encouragement and gentle nudges toward the dresses they had been looking at. Their presence was grounding, a reminder that she was not alone and that she had people who believed in her. She allowed herself to smile faintly in return, feeling a small spark of joy amid the lingering tension. Even in this difficult moment, she could still find moments of light and happiness, and she chose to hold on to them. As she waited for her father's arrival, the girl reflected on how quickly life could change. One moment she had been excited and carefree, and the next she had been confronted with prejudice and unfairness. But she also recognized her own strength, her ability to remain composed, and the support of those around her. She realized that these experiences, though painful, were shaping her understanding of the world and her ability to navigate it with dignity. Finally, she felt a sense of readiness. She knew that when her father arrived, the situation would change, but she was prepared. She would stand tall, remain composed, and allow her dignity to guide her actions. She had faced the worst of the moment already, the shock, the hurt, the confusion, and had emerged with strength and determination. Now she was ready for whatever came next, confident in her ability to face the challenge with courage, grace, and the unwavering support of those who cared for her. The sound of the store doors opening made the girl look up, and her heart skipped a beat. There he was, her father, stepping into the store with calm assurance in his stride. Even from a distance, his presence was commanding, yet gentle. People around seemed to notice him as well, some pausing their shopping to glance, a mix of respect and curiosity in their expressions. He walked with purpose and scanning the store until his eyes landed on his daughter in the corner. The girl felt a wave of relief wash over her, knowing he had arrived. She had felt alone until this moment, but now she was not. Her father approached steadily, keeping his gaze calm, but his eyes reflected concern. He knelt slightly to be at her level, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. Her voice was warm, steady and reassuring, carrying a weight of love and protection that made her feel safe immediately. She nodded, feeling a mix of gratitude and lingering shock. She tried to put her emotions into words, but nothing seemed enough to describe what had happened and how it had made her feel. Her father stood, signaling the staff discreetly, and walked toward the woman who had confronted his daughter. The woman who had seemed so bold before now froze as she noticed him approaching. She realized too late that she had no idea who she was dealing with. The confident stare she had given the girl moments ago faltered, replaced by uncertainty and discomfort. The shift in the atmosphere was immediate. The air felt heavier, charged with anticipation as everyone sensed the change. The father's voice was calm but firm as he addressed the woman. "Excuse me, ma'am. Can we talk for a moment?" There was no anger in his tone, only authority and the quiet assurance that he would not allow this situation to continue. The woman opened her mouth, but no words came. She stammered slightly, searching for an excuse that did not exist. She realized that the power dynamic had completely shifted. The girl's confidence, bolstered by her father's presence, had changed the situation entirely. The staff of the store, who had been hesitant before, now moved to support the girl. They offered small apologies, acknowledging the discomfort caused, and tried to manage the situation carefully. The father maintained a composed demeanor, never raising his voice, but his words carried a firm message that discrimination would not be tolerated. The girl watched from a safe distance, observing how his calm authority was commanding respect and attention from everyone around. The woman tried to defend herself, muttering something about a misunderstanding, but her words were weak and unconvincing. She had acted on impulse, thinking she could assert control over someone she deemed inferior, and now she was realizing the consequences. The father listened politely, then spoke again, clearly stating that such behavior was unacceptable and that the girl had every right to be in the store. His presence alone seemed to silence the murmurs of the other shoppers. People began to watch intently, seeing a powerful display of dignity, respect, and fairness. The girl felt a sense of pride and relief as she watched her father handle the situation. She had been afraid, hurt, and uncertain moments ago, but now she saw the way courage and composure could transform an unfair situation. She realized that she could learn from this, that standing up with dignity, whether directly or with support, was a powerful tool. She felt a mix of admiration and love for her father, grateful for his presence and his ability to turn a painful moment into one of learning and empowerment. As the woman struggled to regain composure, the father turned slightly toward the store staff. He calmly explained that every customer deserved to be treated with respect, regardless of who they were, and that the store needed to ensure fairness at all times. His words were firm but not accusatory, highlighting the values of dignity and equality. The staff listened attentively, realizing that this was not just a momentary incident but an important lesson for how they conducted themselves. The girl remained quiet, observing quietly as the situation unfolded. She noticed the subtle gestures of support from some of the other shoppers, small nods and glances that indicated they recognized the injustice that had occurred. That silent acknowledgement gave her further reassurance that she was not alone, that people could stand for fairness and respect, even in small, quiet ways. It was a reminder that the world was not entirely unfair, that there were allies and supporters, even among strangers. Her father continued to speak with measured authority, giving the woman an opportunity to understand her mistake without escalating the confrontation. She finally muttered a weak apology, her earlier confidence completely gone. It was clear that she had underestimated both the girl and her father, and now faced the consequences of her impulsive behavior. The father nodded slightly, accepting the apology, but making it clear that such behavior should not happen again. There was no hostility, only a firm reminder of accountability. The girl took a deep breath, feeling the tension finally begin to ease. She had been supported, protected, and guided through a moment that could have left her feeling powerless. Instead, she felt empowered, witnessing firsthand how dignity, composure, and courage could influence a situation and create respect. Her father's approach had been perfect, not aggressive, not punitive, but firm, protective, and educational. It was a lesson she would carry with her for a long time. After ensuring the situation was resolved, the father returned to his daughter's side. He gently took her hand and they walked together toward the display she had been exploring before the incident. "Are you okay now?" he asked again, softer this time, focusing entirely on her feelings rather than the confrontation. She nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and pride. "Yes," she said quietly. "I think I am." Her voice was small but steady, reflecting the inner strength that had grown during the ordeal. Her friends smiled, relieved to see the girl regaining composure. They returned to browsing, though the excitement of the day had been tempered by the earlier incident. Yet even amidst the lingering tension, there was a sense of hope and resilience. The girl felt a renewed sense of confidence, realizing that she could navigate challenges with dignity and that support from loved ones could turn fear into empowerment. As they continued through the store, the father gently guided the girl, keeping her close but allowing her to explore. He whispered small reassurances, explaining that the world would sometimes be unfair, but she could always choose how to respond. He reminded her that her worth was never defined by someone else's prejudice, and that her ability to stay composed and strong was a source of pride. She listened carefully, absorbing every word, feeling the weight of his wisdom and protection. The girl noticed how people around them now seemed more respectful, some even quietly acknowledging the earlier incident with nods or glances. The shift in atmosphere was subtle but noticeable, a sign that fairness and dignity could influence the environment around her. She realized that standing up for oneself, especially with guidance and support, could inspire change and earn respect even in unexpected places. Her father paused by a rack of dresses, allowing her to choose freely. She felt a sense of normalcy returning, a reminder that despite challenges, life continued and could still hold moments of joy. She carefully picked out a few dresses, feeling the soft fabric and imagining how they would look. Her friends helped her, laughing softly, and she felt a sense of relief wash over her. The earlier incident was no longer the sole focus. She was reclaiming the day, and her excitement slowly returned. Throughout the rest of the visit, the girl reflected on what had happened. She thought about the fear, the hurt, and the embarrassment, but also about the strength, dignity, and courage she had discovered within herself. She realized that life would continue to present challenges, but that she had the ability to face them with composure and resilience. She felt a deep gratitude for her father, whose presence had not only protected her but had shown her how to handle unfairness with wisdom and calm. As they prepared to leave the store, the girl carried the dresses she had chosen, along with a sense of accomplishment that went far beyond shopping. She had faced a difficult situation, navigated it with composure, and witnessed firsthand the power of support, dignity, and courage. Her father walked beside her, holding her hand, sharing quiet smiles and nods that conveyed pride and reassurance. The day had started with excitement and ended with lessons in strength, fairness, and self-respect, leaving the girl with memories that would stay with her far longer than any dress ever could. The father's presence had already shifted the atmosphere in the store, but he knew it was important to handle the situation fully, calmly, and fairly. He guided his daughter to a nearby seat, giving her a moment to breathe and collect herself while he addressed the woman who had confronted her. People in the store watched silently, sensing that something significant was unfolding. The woman, who had appeared confident before, now seemed small and uncertain under the father's steady gaze. She realized the gravity of her actions and that the situation was no longer hers to control. He spoke to her calmly but firmly, explaining that what had happened was completely unacceptable. He did not raise his voice, nor did he make the moment about anger or revenge. Instead, he focused on the values that mattered: respect, dignity, and accountability. He asked the woman to reflect on her behavior and understand why it was harmful. His words were deliberate, giving her an opportunity to acknowledge her mistake and take responsibility without escalating the conflict. The woman fumbled for an excuse, but none could explain her actions convincingly. She had acted impulsively, guided by prejudice, and now she had to face the consequences. She stammered out a weak apology, but the father held her gaze, showing that words alone were not enough. He expected sincerity and an understanding of the impact her behavior had on someone else. The people around them watched quietly, learning a lesson about fairness and the importance of treating everyone with respect. While this conversation was happening, the girl observed from her seat. She felt a mixture of emotions: pride, relief, and still a touch of lingering hurt. But most of all, she felt empowered. She saw that being dignified and composed, even in a difficult and unfair situation, could command respect. The father's example showed her that you could address wrongdoing firmly without anger, and that standing up for yourself did not require confrontation. just the courage to remain composed and insist on fairness. The staff of the store had also taken notice. They approached cautiously, acknowledging that the earlier handling of the situation had been inadequate. They offered apologies to the girl and reassured her that they would take steps to ensure it did not happen again. Their gestures were small but meaningful, signaling that fairness and accountability could influence the environment and improve it. The girl felt seen and supported, realizing that positive change could come even from difficult moments. The woman, still standing awkwardly, attempted to explain herself further, but her words were inconsistent and weak. The father listened carefully, nodding occasionally, but he made it clear that her behavior had crossed a line. She had judged and treated someone unfairly, and such actions had consequences. He spoke about the importance of recognizing biases and ensuring that others are treated with respect, no matter their appearance. His calm authority and clear communication left no room for deflection or denial. The girl felt a growing sense of validation. She had been treated unfairly, but now the situation was being addressed in a way that upheld her dignity. She realized that fairness and respect were not just about confrontation. They were about calmly asserting your rights and having the support to ensure those rights were recognized. This understanding strengthened her confidence and gave her a sense of control over the situation that had initially seemed overwhelming. As the conversation continued, the atmosphere in the store began to shift. Other shoppers who had been quietly observing now seemed to understand the seriousness of the incident. Some gave subtle nods, recognizing the importance of standing against unfair treatment. The girl noticed these small gestures and felt a renewed sense of hope, realizing that even brief moments of awareness could ripple outward, influencing others and reinforcing the values of respect and fairness. The father addressed the store management, ensuring that they understood the need for clear policies and training to prevent similar incidents in the future. His words were constructive, focusing on creating a better environment for all customers rather than simply punishing the woman. He emphasized that respect and fairness were not optional, but fundamental to how people should be treated, and that accountability was a responsibility for everyone. Meanwhile, the girl watched as the woman began to understand the impact of her actions. The initial shock and defensiveness gave way to a quieter, more reflective demeanor. It was clear that the woman realized the seriousness of her behavior and the hurt it had caused. Though the apology had been reluctant at first, there was now an acknowledgement of wrongdoing. The girl saw that accountability was not about humiliation. It was about recognizing mistakes and learning from them. This insight further strengthened her understanding of fairness and justice. Her friends stayed close, whispering supportive words and occasionally nudging her toward the racks of dresses she had been interested in. They reminded her that she deserved to enjoy her day, that this incident did not define her, and that the support of her father and others around her could turn a negative moment into a lesson about strength and dignity. The girl absorbed these words, feeling a sense of grounding and encouragement that helped balance the lingering tension. After several minutes, the father concluded the conversation with the woman. He made it clear that such behavior would not be tolerated in the store and that fairness must be upheld at all times. The woman, now fully aware of her misstep, nodded silently and stepped back, her earlier arrogance completely gone. The store staff, now more attentive and aware, returned to their duties, ensuring that the environment felt welcoming and respectful. The shift in tone was subtle but palpable, as if the unfair energy that had filled the store moments ago had been replaced by a sense of restored order and accountability. The girl, feeling reassured, stood and walked toward her father. She felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She realized that while the incident had been hurtful, it had also been a powerful lesson in composure, dignity, and courage. She had witnessed firsthand how fairness and accountability could influence others and create a sense of justice without resorting to anger or retaliation. The experience, though difficult, had strengthened her understanding of herself and the world around her. Her father smiled gently at her, sensing her need for comfort and reassurance. He spoke quietly, emphasizing the importance of staying strong, recognizing her own worth and understanding that her value was never determined by someone else's prejudice. His words resonated deeply, reinforcing the lessons she had already begun to internalize. She felt a mixture of pride and gratitude, realizing how fortunate she was to have such guidance and support. The girl's friends, seeing the change in atmosphere and the way the situation had been resolved, encouraged her to continue exploring the store. They laughed softly, pointing out dresses and accessories, and she felt a sense of normalcy returning. The joy of the day, though tempered by earlier events, slowly began to reappear. She allowed herself to focus on the positive, feeling empowered by the way the situation had been handled and by the support of those around her. As they moved through the store, the girl reflected on the events that had unfolded. She understood that life would sometimes present challenges and unfairness, but that courage, composure, and dignity were powerful tools to navigate them. She realized that being strong did not mean being aggressive. It meant staying true to her values, standing up for herself when necessary, and allowing accountability to unfold naturally. These lessons, she knew, would remain with her long after leaving the store. The father continued to offer guidance and encouragement as they shopped. He pointed out the importance of recognizing one's own emotions, processing them thoughtfully, and choosing actions that reflected strength and integrity. The girl listened carefully, absorbing every word. She understood that her response to the incident had shaped the outcome as much as her father's presence had, and that she could draw on this experience in the future to navigate difficult situations with confidence. By the time they finished shopping, the girl felt a sense of closure. The incident that had begun with hurt and confusion had transformed into a lesson in resilience, dignity, and accountability. She had experienced unfair treatment, witnessed a compassionate and firm resolution, and gained a deeper understanding of the importance of composure and self-respect. The store, once a place of discomfort, had become a setting for growth and empowerment. As they left the store, the girl carried not only the dresses she had chosen, but also the knowledge that she could face unfairness with strength and grace. She felt proud of how she had handled the situation, grateful for her father's guidance, and reassured by the support of her friends. The day, though challenging, had taught her valuable lessons that would stay with her for years to come. She understood that dignity, composure, and courage were not abstract concepts, but real tools she could use to navigate the world with confidence and self-respect. As the girl walked out of the store, her heart felt lighter than it had earlier. The tension that had gripped her chest for so long was beginning to fade, replaced by a mixture of relief, pride, and newfound confidence. She glanced at her father, who walked beside her, calm and reassuring. His presence was steadying, a reminder that she was never truly alone, even in moments that seemed overwhelming. The day had started with excitement and had taken a sharp turn, but now it was ending with lessons she would carry with her for a lifetime. Her friends walked closely, chatting quietly about the dresses and accessories they had admired earlier. They had witnessed the entire situation and had been a source of comfort and encouragement throughout. Their laughter and gentle teasing helped ease the remnants of anxiety, making the day feel almost normal again. The girl felt a warm gratitude for their support, realizing that the bonds of friendship could be as protective and empowering as the presence of her father. As they stepped outside, the fresh air seemed to fill the girl with energy. She took a deep breath, savoring the moment of freedom and relief. She had been through an intense emotional experience, and now she could finally let herself process everything that had happened. The incident in the store had been painful, unfair, and unexpected, but it had also revealed her own strength, the importance of support, and the power of dignity in the face of prejudice. Her father glanced at her with a gentle smile. "You handled that very well," he said softly. "I am proud of you." His words resonated deeply, reaffirming the girl's own sense of accomplishment. She had been scared, hurt, and unsure, but she had remained composed, had followed the lessons he had taught her, and had faced a challenging situation with courage. Hearing his acknowledgement made her feel validated and understood in a way that words alone could not fully express. The girl thought back to the moment when the woman had told her to leave the store. She remembered the shock, the hurt, and the embarrassment, but she also remembered the strength that had begun to grow within her as she faced the unfairness. She realized that moments of adversity could be transformed into opportunities for growth, for learning, and for understanding her own resilience. She felt a quiet pride in the way she had handled herself, knowing that she had not allowed anger or fear to dictate her actions. As they walked down the street, the girl reflected on the lessons she had learned that day. She understood that life would sometimes present situations that were unjust and confusing, but she also knew that her response could shape the outcome. Composure, dignity, and courage were not just words. They were tools she could use to navigate the world. She felt a sense of empowerment, knowing that she could face challenges with grace, that she could stand up for herself without aggression, and that she could rely on the support of those who cared for her. Her friends continued to chat and laugh, their energy lightening the atmosphere. They encouraged her to focus on the positive moments, on the fun they had shared shopping, and on the lessons they had learned together. The girl appreciated their perspective, realizing that even in difficult moments there were glimpses of joy and opportunity. She allowed herself to feel happiness again, understanding that she could hold on to both the lessons of the day and the simple pleasures that made life enjoyable. The girl's father guided the conversation toward reflection, asking gentle questions about how she felt, what she had learned, and how she might handle similar situations in the future. He emphasized that understanding one's own emotions, staying composed, and seeking support when needed were powerful ways to navigate challenges. His guidance was nurturing and empowering, reinforcing the girl's sense of self-worth and helping her process the events in a thoughtful and constructive way. She realized that the incident in the store, while painful, had given her an important perspective on the world. She understood that prejudice and unfairness existed, but she also saw that dignity, courage, and support could counteract their effects. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, a determination to carry herself with confidence, to stand up for herself when necessary, and to support others who might face similar challenges. The experience had strengthened her character, and she felt ready to face the future with a clearer understanding of who she was and what she could achieve. As they continued walking, the girl noticed the subtle ways in which people around them moved and interacted. She realized that her presence, her composure, and the way she had handled the situation had likely influenced the perceptions of others. She felt a quiet satisfaction in knowing that dignity and strength could have an impact beyond the immediate moment. Even small actions and reactions could ripple outward, shaping how others saw and responded to the world around them. The girl also reflected on the importance of guidance and support. Her father's calm authority had been crucial in transforming a potentially traumatic experience into a lesson in empowerment. Her friend's presence had provided comfort and reassurance, reminding her that she was not alone. She understood that while individual courage was important, the support of those who cared for her amplified her ability to navigate challenges effectively. She felt deeply grateful for the people who had stood by her that day. As they approached home, the girl felt a sense of closure. The fear and confusion that had gripped her earlier had been replaced by understanding, empowerment, and resilience. She knew that life would continue to present challenges, but she now carried a sense of confidence and self-assurance that would guide her through future difficulties. She had faced an unfair situation, observed it being addressed with fairness and dignity, and emerged stronger and wiser for it. Her friends said their goodbyes with warm smiles and promises to meet again soon. The girl felt a deep appreciation for their support and friendship, understanding that their encouragement had been an integral part of her experience. She waved to them, feeling lighter and more at peace than she had at any point during the day. The incident that had initially caused so much distress had transformed into a profound lesson about resilience, dignity, and the power of community. Once inside her home, the girl took a moment to sit quietly and reflect. She thought about the events of the day, the emotions she had felt, and the lessons she had learned. She understood that moments of unfairness and prejudice were part of the world, but she also saw that composure, courage, and the support of loved ones could transform these moments into opportunities for growth and understanding. She felt a deep sense of pride in herself and in the way she had navigated the situation. Her father joined her, sitting beside her quietly. They shared a moment of reflection, discussing the importance of fairness, dignity, and standing up for oneself. He reminded her that her worth was never determined by the opinions or actions of others, and that her ability to remain composed and strong was a powerful tool in life. The girl listened attentively, absorbing his wisdom and feeling a sense of reassurance and empowerment. The girl realized that the day had given her more than just lessons in handling unfair situations. It had also shown her the importance of empathy, understanding, and accountability. She had witnessed how calm authority could influence behavior, how support could amplify courage, and how dignity could transform conflict into learning. These insights would remain with her, shaping the way she approached challenges and interactions in the future. As evening approached, the girl felt a sense of contentment and closure. She understood that life would continue to present obstacles, but she now carried the knowledge and experience to face them with confidence and grace. She felt grateful for her father's guidance, her friends' support, and the lessons she had learned about resilience, fairness, and self-respect. The day had been challenging, but it had ultimately strengthened her understanding of herself and the world around her. Finally, as she prepared for the night, the girl reflected on the power of composure, courage, and dignity. She knew that while she could not control the actions of others, she could control her response, and that response could shape the outcome in meaningful ways. She felt a deep sense of empowerment, knowing that she had faced a difficult situation with grace and strength, and that she had learned valuable lessons that would guide her in the future. The day had ended not with fear or hurt, but with confidence, understanding, and a renewed sense of self-worth.